Hello everyone. In this video, I will discuss about the third lesson from Flamingo book Deep Water. This chapter is written by William Douglas. William Douglas was born in 1898 and died in 1980. He was born in Maine, Minnesota. After graduating with a Bachelor's of Arts in English and Economics, he spent 2 years teaching high school in Yakima. However, he got tired of this and decided to pursue a legal career. He met Franklin D. Roosevelt at Yale and became an advisor and friend to the president. Douglas was a leading advocate of individual rights. He retired in 1975 with a term lasting 36 years and remains the longest serving justice in the history of the court. The following excerpt is taken from Of Men and Mountains by William O. Douglas. Now, this chapter in your portion, Deep Water, is an excerpt which is taken from Of Men and Mountains, which is an autobiography of William O. Douglas. It reveals how, as a young boy, William Douglas nearly drowned in a swimming pool. So, this reveals about an encounter which he had in his childhood. In this essay, he talks about his fear of water and thereafter how he finally overcame it. Notice how the autobiographical part of the selection is used to support his discussion of fear. While reading the chapter, you will notice these words and expressions in the text. You have to infer the meaning. I will also discuss about the new words. It had happened when I was 10 or 11 years old. Now, here the narrator is describing an incident when he was 10 or 11 years old. I had decided to learn to swim. There was a pool at the YMCA in Yakima. Full form of YMCA is Young Men's Christian Association. So there was a YMCA in Yakima that offered exactly the opportunity. As a child, he wanted to learn how to swim, and he found YMCA could be the best place to learn it. The Yakima River was treacherous. Now, he did not decide to go in Yakima River to learn how to swim because it was a dangerous river. Treacherous means dangerous. Mother continually warned against it and kept fresh in mind the details of each drowning in the river. So here we can see that the author's mother would warn him against the Yakima River, which was a dangerous river, and she would discuss about all the details about each drowning in the river. But the YMCA pool was safe. So that is why he decided to go in YMCA to learn how to swim. It was only 2 or 3 feet deep at the shallow end, and while it was 9 feet deep at the other, the drop was gradual. I got a pair of water wings and went to the pool. I hated to walk. I hated to walk. Now, this in the next page, you can see the sketch of the Yakima River. I hated to walk naked into it and show my skinny legs. Now, the author was very lean. He had skinny legs and he did not want to show them in the swimming costumes. So, still, but I subdued my pride and did it. Subdued means I kept aside. So, I overcame my pride and did it and wore it. From the beginning, however, I had an aversion. Aversion means dislike. Here, the narrator is saying that from the beginning he had a dislike to the water when I was in it. This started when I was 3 or 4 years old, and father took me to the beach in California. Now, we are going to read about how he started disliking the water, how he got scared of it. He said, he and I stood together in the surf. I hung on to him, yet the waves knocked me down and swept over me. I was buried in water. My breath was gone. I was frightened. Father laughed, but there was terror in my heart at the overpowering force of the waves. Now here we can see that the author was the author started having the fear in his mind right from his childhood. So when he was along with his father, when he visited California, a beach in California, so he was standing and the wave leaped towards them. So in order to, out of fear, he stuck to his father to save himself, and the strong wave threw him down, and he was completely covered in water. So, though his father laughed and tried to make the situation light, but the child was scared because he realized that the waves were very powerful. My introduction to the YMCA swimming pool revived unpleasant memories and stirred childish fears. But in a little while, I gathered confidence. I paddled with my new water wings, watching the other boys and trying to learn by aping them. Aping means copying them. So he tried to learn how to swim by looking at other boys. So because when William joined the swimming pool at the YMCA, the fear of water resurfaced in his mind. So he gathered confidence by watching other boys swim and tried to copy them. I paddled with my new water wings, watching the other boys trying to learn by aping them. I did this 2 or 3 times on different days and was just beginning to feel at ease in the water when the misadventure happened. Now we are going to learn about what exactly the misadventure happened in his life. I went to the pool when no one else was there. The place was quiet, the water was still, and the tiled bottom was as white and clean as a bathtub. I was timid. Timid means I was scared about going in alone, so I sat on the side of the pool to wait for others. I had not been there long when in came a big bruiser of a boy. Now, here, when he had been going near the pool, a big bruiser. Bruiser means a bully, a person who is strongly built, but intends to threaten others. Intends to he enjoys a fight or argument. So this kind of person is called a bruiser, bully. So I had not been there long when in came a big bruiser of a boy, probably 18 years old. He had thick hair on his chest. He was a beautiful physically specimen with legs and arms that showed rippling muscles. Here the description of the bully has been given, that he was around 18 years of age, had a well-built body with rippling muscles, and he seemed to be a bully. So he yelled, he asked, he shouted at him, "Hi, Skinny, how would you like to be ducked?" Now, this line, "how would you like to be ducked means to push or plunge someone underwater. So he asked William if he wanted to be thrown into the pool. With that, he picked me up and tossed me into the deep end. I landed in a sitting position, swallowed water, and went at once to the bottom. I was frightened, but not yet frightened out of my wits. Now, though the writer or the narrator, William, was frightened, but still he could use his senses. He could use his intelligence, which means intelligence. So he could thought about how to deal with the situation. On the way down, I planned when my feet hit the bottom, I would make a big jump, come to the surface, lie flat on it, and paddle to the edge of the pool. It seemed a long way down. Those 9 feet were more like 90, and before I touched bottom, my lungs were ready to burst. But when my feet hit bottom, I summoned all my strength and made what I thought was a great spring upwards. I imagined I would bob to the surface like a cork. Now, here these lines you need to understand that the when the boy picked up William and threw him into the deep end of the swimming pool, he landed in the surface of the pool in the same position. His mouth was open, and as he did not know how to swim, he swallowed water and he sank into the pool. So he was frightened, but he used his intelligence and planned to push himself up when he reached the bottom. So he thought that he would make a big jump to the surface, lie on his back, and swim to the edge of the pool. So bob to the surface like a cork means to float or show the characteristics of buoyancy as a cork in water. So I imagined I would bob to the surface like a cork. Instead, I came up slowly. I opened my eyes and saw nothing but water. Water that had a dirty yellow tinge to it. I grew panicky. I reached up as if to grab a rope, and my hands clutched only at water. I was suffocating. I tried to yell, but no sound came out. Then my eyes and nose came out of the water, but not my mouth. I flailed at the surface of the water, swallowed and choked. I tried to bring my legs up, but they hung as dead weights, paralyzed and rigid. A great force was pulling me under. I screamed, but only the water heard me. I had started on the long journey back to the bottom of the pool. I struck at the water as I went down, expending my strength as one in a nightmare fights an irresistible force. Now, these lines you need to understand. So here he is comparing his situation to a person who sees a nightmare and fights against the dreadful dream, but is unable to ward it off. So William was breathless. He felt pain in his lungs and his head felt a sensation of beating. I had lost all my breath. My lungs ached. My head throbbed. I was getting dizzy. But I remembered the strategy. But I remembered the strategy. Throbbed, the red highlighted one, throbbed means felt pain in a series of beats. But I remembered the strategy. I would spring from the bottom of the pool and come like a cork to the surface. I would lie flat on the water, strike out with my arms, and thrash with my legs. Then I would get to the edge of the pool and be safe. I went down, down endlessly. I opened my eyes, nothing but water with a yellow glow, dark water that one could not see through. So here we can see that he tried his best to save himself from drowning in the pool. uh, he tried to grab something, but he could not do so as water was all around. uh, he was getting unconscious. So we can see that he is trying. He felt pain in his lungs and his head felt a sensation of beating. So he is trying his best to take a leap and jump up to the surface in a jiffy. So then, what he was thinking, to lie down on his back, hit the strokes with his limbs, and reach the edge of the pool to safety. But he could not do so. So and then, sheer stark terror seized me. Sheer stark terror seized me. Seized me means captured me. So here we can see that in between the phase of terror, William recollected that terror that knows no understanding, terror that knows no control, terror that no one can understand who has not experienced it. I was shrieking underwater. I was paralyzed underwater, stiff, rigid with fear. Even the screams in my throat were frozen. Only my heart and the pounding in my head said that I was still alive. A beautiful description of the feeling, what he was going through. He has beautifully described that only a person who has undergone this kind of situation can express this. So we can see that here he has described his feelings, how he was feeling at that time when he was in water. And then in the midst of the terror came a touch of reason. I must remember to jump when I hit the bottom. At last I felt the tiles under me. My toes reached out as if to grab them. I jumped with everything I had. But the jump made no difference. The water was still around me. I looked for ropes, ladders, water wings, nothing but water. A mass of yellow water held me. Stark terror took an even deeper hold on me, like a great charge of electricity. I shook and trembled with fright. My arms wouldn't move. My legs wouldn't move. I tried to call for help, to call for mother. Nothing happened. Oh my God, such a beautiful description of his feelings. So here, he is thinking that he is thinking of his mother now, because in the tough situation we all think of our mother. So this is what he did. He trembled with fright. He could neither move his limbs nor call out for help. The terror grew intense. It was like an electric shock that ran through the whole body. And then, strangely, there was light. I was coming out of the awful yellow water. At least my eyes were. My nose was almost out too. Then I started down a third time. I sucked for air and got water. The yellowish light was going out. Then all effort ceased. Ceased means stopped. I relaxed. Even my legs felt limp without any movement. And a blackness swept over my brain. It wiped out fear. It wiped out terror. There was no more panic. It was quiet and peaceful. Nothing to be afraid of. This is nice. To be drowsy, to go to sleep. No need to jump. Too tired to jump. It's nice to be carried gently, to float along in space. Tender arms around me, tender arms like mothers. Now I must go to sleep. So here again a very beautiful uh, description of his feelings we can see. So he third time, after he started going downwards into the pool for the third time, he tried to breathe but gulped water. So the light went out as he drowned again. He stopped making efforts to save himself. He got relaxed, his legs became lifeless, and his brain experienced a blackout. The fear ended because he was getting unconscious. He did not panic. He became quiet and experienced peace. He was not afraid of drowning anymore. He felt sleepy. He was tired to jump up, felt nice to be carried in his mother's arms as he felt sleepy. I crossed to oblivion, and the curtain of life fell. Oblivion means the state of being unaware or unconscious of what is happening around one. So here we can see that he became unconscious, and as he drifted away towards death, curtain of life fell, life came to end. So he was uh, drifting, he drifted away towards death. The next I remember, I was lying on my stomach beside the pool, vomiting. The chap that threw me in was saying, "But I was only fooling." Someone said, "The kid nearly died. Be all right now. Let's carry him to the locker room." So we can see that here in this stanza, in this paragraph, that William gained consciousness and he was lying on his stomach beside the pool and was vomiting. So he heard someone scolding the boy who had pushed him into the pool. The voice said that William had almost died, and the boy replied that he was. So who is the boy? The boy is the bruiser. So he must be around, and he is trying to justify that he was just fooling with him. So it was just a joke. The voice asked the boy to carry William to the locker room. Several hours later, I walked home. Several hours later, I walked home. I was weak and trembling. I shook and cried when I lay on my bed. I couldn't eat that night. For days, a haunting fear was in my heart. The slightest exertion upset me, making me wobbly in my knees and sick to my stomach. So here in these lines, we can see that after many hours, William walked home. He felt weak and shivered. He kept on crying as he lay on the bed. He was unable to eat food. Uh, the fear kept on haunting him for many days. The incident of getting drowned, almost he was about to lose his life. That incident made him physically upset. So the slightest work made him feel that his knees were unable to bear his weight. He was feeling very weak. He was not able to even stand. He would feel like vomiting. I never went back to the pool. I feared water. I avoided it whenever I could. A few years later, when I came to know the waters of the Cascades, Cascades means you can say that spring of water. Cascade is singular and cascades are plural. So waterfall we can say. A few years later, when I came to know the waters of the Cascades, I wanted to get into them. And whenever I did, whether I was wading the Teton or bumping river or bathing in warm lake of the Goat Rocks, the terror that had seized me in the pool would come back. It would take possession of me completely. My legs would become paralyzed. Icy horror would grab my heart. Now, in these lines, we can see that anytime whenever he tried uh, to go into the water, the fear of water remained with William as he grew up. On the boating trips to different places, different cascades made him scared of water. So he avoided going to such places. The fear of whenever he went to bumping river, warm lake of Goat Rocks, the fear would come back. So we can see that icy horror would grab my heart means the fear would grab him completely. So it will make him it will disable the limbs and grab his heart. This handicap stayed with me as the years rolled by. In canoes of Maine lakes, fishing for salmon. Salmon is a kind of fish, and canoes are the kind of boats, small boats. So this handicap stayed with me as the years rolled by. In canoes on Maine lakes, fishing for landlocked salmon, bass, fishing in New yeah, fishing in New Hampshire, trout fishing uh, on the Deschutes and Metolius in Oregon, fishing for salmon on the Columbia, at Bumping Lake in Cascades. Wherever I went, the haunting fear of the water followed me. It ruined my fishing trips, deprived me of the joy of canoeing, boating, and swimming. So in these lines, we can see that still he continued having the fear from on the name of even water, on the boating trips to different lakes in Maine region, New Hampshire, or this one Deschutes, or the Metolius, or the Columbia, or the Bumping Lake. So wherever he fished, different varieties of fish, namely salmon, uh, bass, or this one trout, the fear followed him. Salmon, bass, and trout are the kinds of varieties of fish. So wherever he went in all these lakes, these all are proper nouns. The fear followed him. His fishing trips were destroyed as he did not enjoy boating and swimming due to the fear. I used every way I knew to overcome this fear, but it held me firmly in its grip. Finally, one October, I decided to get an instructor and learn to swim. I went to a pool and practiced 5 days a week, an hour each day. The instructor put a belt around me, A rope attached to the belt went through a pulley that ran on an overhead cable. He held on to the end of the rope, and we went back and forth across the pool, hour after hour, day after day, week after week. On each trip across the pool, a bit of the panic seized me. Each time the instructor relaxed his hold on the rope and I went under, some of the old terror returned and my legs froze. It was 3 months before the tension began to slack. Then he taught me to put my face under water and exhale, and to raise my nose and inhale. I repeated the exercise hundreds of times. Bit by bit, I shed part of the panic that seized me when my head went underwater. So, in this entire paragraph, we can see that how hard William tried to ward off the fear. Uh, Finally, in the month of October, he hired an instructor. So he would practice for an hour each day, 5 days a week. And here in this paragraph, he's describing the learning process. The learning process, how the instructor would put a belt around his waist. The belt was attached to a thick rope. Rope went through an overhead pulley and was held by the instructor. So this was done to ensure that in case William drowned, the instructor would pull him out. So William swam across the length of the pool for several weeks. And whenever the instructor loosened the rope, he went down into the water and the fear would return. So it would immobilize his legs. After 3 months of practice, William got comfortable. Then the instructor taught him to breathe in the water. He taught him to put his face under the water and exhale his breath. He was taught to raise his nose out of the water and inhale. So William practiced this several times, and gradually he got rid of the panic that would grab him when he put his head under the water. Next, he held me at the side of the pool and had me kick with my legs. For weeks, I did just that. At first, my legs refused to work, but they gradually relaxed. But they gradually relaxed. And finally, I could command them. Thus, piece by piece, he built a swimmer, and when he had perfected each piece, he put them together into an integrated whole. In April, he said, "Now you can swim. Dive off and swim the length of the pool. Crawl, stroke." I did. The instructor was finished, but I was not finished. I still wondered if I would be terror stricken when I was alone in the pool. I tried it. I swam the length up and down. Tiny vestiges of the old terror would return. But now I would frown and say to that terror trying to scare me, "Ah, well, here's to you. Look," and off I would go for another length of the pool. So in these lines, we can see that how he is trying hard to come out of his fear. Vestiges means traces. So here, William had not only overcome the fear completely, he has not yet overcome the fear, but he is wondering if the terror would grab him when he would be alone in the water. He tried to swim alone in the pool. The terror returned in small phases, but now he knew how to swim. So he faced the terror with confidence. He swam another length of the pool. So we can see that he kept on trying till the month of July, and still he was not satisfied. This went on until July, but I was still not satisfied. I was not sure that all the terror had left. So I went to Lake Wentworth in Hampshire, dived off a dock at Triggs Island, and swam 2 miles across the lake to Stamp Act Island. I swam the crawl, breast stroke, side stroke, and back stroke. Only once did the terror return. When I was in the middle of the lake, I put my face under and saw nothing but bottomless water. The old sensation returned in miniature. I laughed and said, "Well, Mr. Terror, what do you think you can do to me?" It fled and I swam on. Yet I had residual doubts. At my first opportunity, I hurried west, went up to Tearton and Conrad Meadows, up the Conrad Creek Trail to Mead Glacier, and camped in the high meadow by the side of Warm Lake. The next morning, I stripped, dived into the lake, and swam across to the other shore and back, just as Doc Corporon used to do. I shouted with joy, and Gilbert Peak returned the echo. I had conquered my fear of water. So, in these lines, we can see that uh, he went up to Tearton, reached Conrad Meadows, walked up to the Conrad Creek Trail to Mead Glacier. He camped at the meadow by the warm lake. The next morning, he wore the swimming costume and dived into the lake. He swam across it to the other end and returned just like the famous American dog Corporon used to do. So William shouted with joy as he had overcome his fear. His voice resounded as the mountain peak named Gilbert Peak reverberated it. He had overcome the fear. So beautifully, he has described how he overcame his fear. I had conquered my fear of water. The experience had a deep meaning for me, as only those who have known stark terror and conquered it can appreciate it. In death, there is peace. There is terror only in the fear of death. As Roosevelt knew when he said, "All we have to fear is fear itself." A very important line from the chapter. All we have to fear is fear itself. Because I had experienced both the sensation of dying and the terror that fear of it can produce, the will to live somehow grew in intensity. At last, I felt released, free to walk the trails and climb the peaks and to brush aside fear. So, the last paragraph talks about the experience had a great importance in William's life. He realized that death was peaceful and only the fear of death was fearful. So he recollected the words of one of the presidents of America, Roosevelt. Roosevelt had said that we all have to fear is fear itself. As William has had experienced death and the fear of death, his desire to live grew immensely. He felt released from fear and was free to walk up the trails and climb up the mountains fearlessly. So, this was the end of the lesson. This was a beautiful lesson. Uh, Thank you. Here I stop. Thank you for watching the video.